In this 45-minute class, you'll be connecting to the strong, confident, and magnetic leader that's already inside of you. Now, you might be here to get traction in a business or to develop the confidence to attract the right people into your life who can help you fulfill your goals and your life vision. I know some of you are here to learn more about what kind of skill sets you stand to gain by getting credentialed as a life coach with the International Coach Federation, or how those skills create leadership in business and marketing and public speaking, or as an author, or as a working professional. We're going to move into that. But in just a moment, you'll meet Robyn Linn. She's co-founder of Whole Life EDU, which is a partnering school that teaches how to create a mindful business online. She'll be discussing why we sometimes refer to what you'll be learning about here today as love skills, and how these skills promote inner healing, connection, and can quite literally help heal our world. Now, you'll also be meeting lifelong educator Barbara Silva. She's co-founder of Academy of Coaching Cognition. She'll be discussing the difference between the services of life coaching, counseling versus consulting, versus mentoring. Understanding the difference between these can be extremely helpful for a business owner or those who are looking to get started in business, in framing your products or framing your content, like on your blog or in your marketing emails, for example. In the later section of this course, we'll then move into the deep skill sets, which is what we're really driving at here, that you'll start practicing even today during class. Over the duration of this class, you're going to experience some major shifts in how you relate to your goals, how you relate to money, how you relate to other people, and how you relate to yourself. Now, this is going to have a big impact in your ability to communicate the value that you have to offer in this world through your career or a business, a nonprofit, or an idea you have for one. Now, if you don't yet know what value that you have to offer this world, this class is going to get you in touch with it. I'm Mike Klingler. For those of you who don't know me, I'm founder of School of Online Business and co-founder of Whole Life EDU with Robyn Linn and Academy of Coaching Cognition with Barbara Silva. The skills we're teaching are proven to be the most effective and the easiest to apply for developing confidence and leadership while bridging the gap between work, family, money, and the life you really want to live, and the contribution you really want to give. If you're looking for an exciting new career, the skills we're talking about today are going to help you find it. If you've experienced loss or disappointment in your life or in your business, this class is going to show you how to heal those wounds and help heal our world through connection and the application of some simple but powerful skill sets that turn frustration and overwhelm and disappointment, no matter how harsh it may seem, into stepping stones and into action. Each competency that's taught here is part of a proven curriculum at our school that is approved by the International Coach Federation to count toward an ICF coach credential. We're about to begin. I'm going to be checking in with you periodically to summarize key points, ask some powerful questions, and I'll also give you some specific steps you can start taking during class. I'll see you in just a little bit. Now, here's Robyn Linn. Your 45-minute class for dynamic change starts now.
Today's class is all about confidence. It's about healing. It's about connection. It's about communication. And it's about leadership. We're going to help you be able to internally develop the skills so that you can go out into the world. You can heal. You can work. You can live. You can prosper. You can create whatever you want by internally creating the environment that helps you do this. So let's create years of change in just 45 minutes. Many of us have this disconnect between the subconscious, the things that we learned growing up, things that we may be unaware of because we just act, because we are.
We're talking about some major shifts can happen when you go sit down to an interview, or you put together a Facebook post, or start putting together your products, or write your book, or call a publisher that you want to market your book, or dealing with your spouse or your child. All of this shows up and you notice it. Things change very quickly because you are connecting with people constantly everywhere you go, no matter what your goals are.
A regular question may be helpful if you say, what kind of business do you want to have? That's a good question. But a powerful question would be, you're talking about having this kind of a business. How does that reflect the values that you have just described to me, that you said are the most important things in your life?
Our mother, our father, our guardians told us how to be. We learned through modeled behavior. And now the subconscious mind has created these patterns that replay over and over, and many of you know this. The key is, how do you integrate this dialogue between that part, the subconscious, with the conscious, the part that takes action, the part of your mind that is willing to step out of your comfort zone, to step out and really make something happen.
Okay, so in summary, Robyn is sharing that as you become more and more aware of old patterns that no longer serve you on a subconscious level, they stop having power over you and power over your life.
I can't take this anymore.
You're able to become more productive without feeling like you're working any harder.
And so we gotta do something right now. We need to fix Adams, and we need to fix it yesterday.
You're able to attract people into your life that support your vision for your life, whether that be in a business or on a personal level. And you're able to lead people, be that your friends that you want to help when they come to you for advice, or your children, or to lead a team perhaps, or prospects if you're in a business. Because people can sense confidence, they can sense clarity in your presence. We're talking also about leading yourself. That's what the rest of this class is really all about, and that's what the skill that we call life coaching is really all about. Okay, so let's reframe this into a powerful question. How do you get in touch with what's going on the subconscious level so that you can recognize patterns that no longer serve you? Now that might sound like a really complicated question to answer, but don't worry, it won't be. The skills that we cover in this class, you'll be able to start applying right away, and your subconscious mind, instead of working against you, will start working for you. Let's go back to the call and connect with Barbara Silva, who breaks this down in simpler terms.
Barbara is PCC, BCC, co-founder of Academy of Coaching Cognition. Barbara, I'll let you take the reins.
Thank you, Robyn, and I'm so glad to get to be here with you tonight. I was just sitting listening to Robyn talk with a big grin on my face, because she's describing that connection between the conscious and the subconscious. The thing that I love about these skills is that they are scientifically based. There's a science to these skills, there's an art to these skills. But the bottom line is that they are actually a fundamental part of our being. In my experience, this makes the greatest impact with the least amount of effort. Now, I don't want to confuse that with commitment. It takes commitment to make things happen, a willingness for change and growth. I am the co-founder of Coaching Cognition. I am a lifelong educator, and I've always been fascinated with how is it that people learn? How is it that people interact? What's the difference between somebody who is naturally happy and good things seem to happen for them, and the person who seems to always have the negative viewpoint about things? What's the difference between the person that is what most people would consider successful and the person who just never quite seems to get there? It's always in the future. Someday I will. Someday it'll be like this. As I took my skills in education and my knowledge about learning and combined that with the coaching process, it just all came together in a way that I have had the pleasure of empowering tons and tons of people in a really wonderful, exciting, and fun way. This isn't something that's hard to do. So I'm just so glad to have you all here and looking forward to going over some of this stuff with you.
We'll be discussing the 7 different core competencies in this call. Now, it takes years to master these skills, but even a very slight increase in your knowledge and application of these skills will exponentially increase the value of every human interaction you have from here and accelerate the process of producing any goal you set out to create. This is huge. Now, some of these competencies that we'll talk about today give you direct access to your subconscious mind, like we referenced earlier, allowing you to literally create new habits that will automatically have you doing the things you need to do to hit financial and personal goals and fulfill your vision. Other competencies that we'll be talking about today allow you to gain instant trust with your audience. Instead of using the common marketing techniques of persuasion, these competencies actually do the opposite, and something far more attractive. You'll learn to attract your ideal relationships, business partners, and customers by asking powerful questions and truly listening and communicating your value clearly while demonstrating you're worthy of their trust. I mentioned this as your audience, but it's also your circle of influence. If you market online, you're going to love all this because you're going to know exactly what people need to hear to understand exactly what it is you offer. And instead of persuasion, it's going to be about genuinely helping them get what they want. Now, before we get into the details of these powerful skill sets, Robyn and Linn is going to discuss how this all helps us heal ourselves and heal our world, because it gives us a context of the deeper meaning and impact of all of this. Now, Robyn, go ahead and tell us, why do we sometimes refer to these as love skills, and what do we mean when we say that even big, brawny men, the tough guy, needs these skills?
Okay, so why do we sometimes refer to these as love skills? Well, first, let's address how this impacts you and self-love. The skills you'll start practicing today allow you to really listen and connect more intimately to yourself. So as you become more aware of your internal dialogue, you'll be able to realize and shift patterns and beliefs about yourself that no longer serve you or what you're here to do. Then you're able to shift the concepts you hold of yourself and really step into a new role that you choose. But there's more to it. These skills can be used to navigate through difficult life situations and be okay even when circumstances are less than perfect. Now let's talk about how this impacts the quality of relationships you have with the world you live in. We use the term big brawny men here with a little tongue-in-cheek because there's a stereotypical image that our society holds about the tough guy. You know, someone who's not all that interested in matters of the heart. Well, that's not really true, is it? Because no matter who you are, a strong woman who leads her family and career, or any guy, and everyone, you want connection. You want love. And you want to be that person who knows how to naturally help people around you feel important and understood. To hold them accountable when you need to, but in a way where they get to see you as a strong, caring, and sensible leader in their life. Now, there's a lot of disconnection out there. A lot of people are feeling alone, unheard, unimportant, unloved. The more people learn these skills, the more they can heal old wounds within themselves and emotionally heal our world. We're going to get to the heart of it because everyone needs these skills. We'll talk later about how all this shows up in your business or your career, but you're probably starting to get the picture. This impacts all you do. It's everything.
In this next segment, Barbara's going to explain the fundamental difference between the services of coaching versus counseling versus consulting versus mentoring. Now, this is going to give you a context for what coaching really is and why it's so valuable as a set of skills, even if you're just planning to use these skills to become your own best coach. Now you're going to discover that a lot of people who use the word coaching to describe their own products and services aren't really coaching at all. Of course, this is extremely important if you want to create a new career as a credentialed life coach, or if you want to include coaching or consulting as a service for yourself or a business. But even if you're not planning to be a life or business coach per se, if you have a business of any kind or you're setting out to create one, understanding the distinction between these services is going to significantly impact how you frame your products, books, offers, your marketing, and shift the relationship with your audience. Later in today's class, I'm going to share with you how you can use this information that Barbara's about ready to get into to help you attract a lot more clients and customers to any business type by making slight but powerful adjustments in how you're communicating. We'll come back to that, and then we're going to dig into learning the specific skills themselves. But first, let's get a solid understanding of what coaching really is before we jump into the meat of today's training. Here's Barbara Silva.
There are 4 different support services that kind of overlap a little bit, but each one is distinct. The first one is counseling or therapy, somebody who's a psychiatrist. There is a little bit of overlap between coaching and counseling in the sense that a counselor can apply coaching skills, and more of them are not only applying coaching skills, but they are actually getting credentialed in coaching and adding that to their requirements for being a therapist. I have a BCC, which is a board certified coach, and that comes from the Psychological Association through the Center for Credentialing and Education. But if they're not using the coaching skills, if they're dealing with the old style therapy, then what a counselor is doing is using their experience, listening to what you have going on, and frequently, at least the perception is that you're going because you need to be fixed in some way. That's not entirely fair to the therapist because you don't have to have something wrong to want to improve your life, but that does tend to be the population that thinks of going to a therapist. They basically tell you what to do. A consultant on the other side here is an expert. Their job is to find out what it is that you need. They will actually recommend the best product or the best system, and sometimes even oversee having that put in to your company. You're hiring them, again, for their knowledge, which they then put into you. They use their experience, what they've learned, what they know. If you imagine your head opening up, they pour that knowledge in. So once again, you are on the receiving end of the learning. And then the mentor is a person who has already done what it is that you want to do. And basically, they share their journey with you. Mike is a mentor to hundreds of thousands of people. He has successfully created an online business, and he runs webinars, and he shares with people things that he did to build his business. If you only have Mike in your life as a mentor and you follow everything that he does, then at some point you will wind up with an online successful business that is very close to what Mike does. And that may be what you want. That's great. But the difference is you'll be copying what Mike does. And I remember Mike and I had a conversation a while back when he was my mentor. And we were talking about maybe becoming partners. And we were talking about maybe me opening up a version of the earlier version of what's now the School of Online Business. Because if I was running it, it would have a different take than what Mike does. And I remember saying, for me, I don't want to do the same thing. Business is not my purpose. That's not my core. But I want to do something that complements it. What a coach does is, instead of these other three where information is being put into you. The coach brings information out of you. You are the expert. So if I'm coaching you, I'm not going to tell you what it is that you need to do or what you want to do. I am going to ask you questions that are going to help you get really clear. Mike changed directions with me at that point in our relationship, and he began to coach me. And he began to say, what is it that you love? Who are you as a person? When you see yourself, what do you identify yourself with? What is it that you naturally fall into? And aside from, my family and my values in that way, my other big life value was I am a teacher. And the way that I teach is through coaching. I believe in empowering my students to discovering their own truth. I know it's more meaningful that way. So that's the difference. All of these are going to help you move from where you are to where you want to be in some way. The main difference is that the coach is going to get the answers that are unique to you, your values, your life, your circumstance, your talents, your love, your purpose.
In summary, Barbara just reviewed 4 different support services that are each very distinct. She explained that some of these services can overlap, but that coaching is unique. Coaching focuses on drawing information out of the client, or in the case of self-coaching, guiding yourself through a similar process. So while a consultant or a training or a resource can also come with coaching, it's important to understand when it doesn't. How do you feel when you know someone is really listening, and when you know they understand your needs and that they care? Do they stand out? We're about to start the next segment of this class where we review some of these powerful coaching skills that we've been referencing today. As you go deeper, it's going to become more and more clear how these skills create leaders and magnetic personalities both professionally and in their personal lives. We're going to begin with active listening, and we'll start by tuning into a short, entertaining segment from the old sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond. Let's watch.
We have a 6-year-old daughter, and she's a great kid, but she's been having trouble listening, and she's been very stubborn lately.
But that's every kid.
It's not.
It's just a phase, right?
Well, this is a perfect opportunity for you to try some active listening.
Thank you. We'll try that.
Wait a second. Wait. So active listening, I'm not familiar with that.
Well, it's encouraging your child to express herself verbally without influencing her with your own preconceived notions or opinions.
Got it. Here we go.
Well, why don't we try to illustrate this with a little role playing? Let's have you. Ray, is it?
No.
Come to the front of the class.
In just a moment, we'll watch Ray use what he learned about active listening with his daughter. It's pretty comical and a great illustration. But first, let's return to Barbara Silva. She'll discuss this skill called active listening in broader terms, so you can start applying it as a magnetic leader in your own life. Now here's Barbara.
A lot of people will say, I'm a really good listener. And that probably means that you care about people and you enjoy letting them express themselves, and so people get to talk a lot around you. But active listening is a different set of skills. It's what you're listening for. When you're actively listening, you're not just hearing the words the other person is saying. You are listening to the whole context of who that person is and what they're saying, what they're not saying, the way they're saying it. And then there are ways that you can give information back to them to be sure that you really get it, that you're really understanding what it is they mean. Because it's so often that somebody says something, but it's not really getting at what they mean. And they don't realize it until someone else is saying, so do you mean this? And it's like, no, not at all. That's not it. When you're actively listening, you help the speaker get more and more clear on what is it that they mean. the coach is bringing this stuff out of you because they're listening and they're paying attention, and there's so many nonverbal and verbal cues that they can pick up on so that they can highlight things that you may not be aware of. You may not be aware that you've said something, and the coach can kind of shine a light on that and say, I noticed that when you talked about creating a future, it didn't sound like you felt like that's within your power to do. So tell me more about that. What in your future is in your hands?
Wait, what did she just say?
What in your future is in your hands?
That's the kind of question a leader asks. That's the kind of question you can ask. In quick summary, Barbara shared that active listening is listening to the whole context of a person with awareness of both verbal and nonverbal cues. You're listening without judgment and able to reflect back what you're hearing to ensure that both you and the other person understand what's said. Now, practicing this skill establishes trust and takes you to a whole new level of value you can offer in your career, a business, as an author, a speaker, a marketer. It literally shows up everywhere. Now, we're going to get into that more as we move into some of the other competencies like powerful questions, effective feedback, and creating a safe environment, and more. But first, let's return to the scene that we watched earlier with Everybody Loves Raymond, where Ray returns home and starts using the skill of active listening with his daughter. Let's watch.
Why did you do this, Allie? This is terrible.
Oh, great.
This is Michael's giraffe. He's crying now. Why did you do this?
Cause.
Cause is not an answer.
Active listening.
Ray, that doesn't work.
It works. I just use it on the worst kids in the neighborhood.
Would you? Look at this. Look what she did.
Just try it. Try it.
No, Ray.
I'll do it. You want me to do it? I'll do it.
No. Okay. Allie, let's talk about what you did.
I don't want to talk.
Are you feeling angry?
Reflect back.
You're angry.
Yes.
Okay. But it's not okay to rip up toys when we're angry.
Judgmental.
You are angry because...
Because it used to be your toy.
Oh.
Yes. I don't like Michael and Jeffrey.
I see. You think that Mommy and Daddy pay too much attention to Michael and Jeffrey.
Ray, okay, I was handling this.
They get everything.
Right, and you're upset because we gave them your old giraffe.
I still liked it.
But you weren't playing with it.
But that doesn't matter, though, because it was still yours. And you're mad because we gave it to Michael without asking you, right?
Right.
Well, Mommy and Daddy made a mistake. And everybody makes mistakes, right, Mommy?
Yes.
Do you feel better now, Allie?
Yes, can I have the giraffe?
Well, it's broken, honey.
I know, I want to try to fix it for Michael.
This one.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's an entertaining example of how one might use active listening with their children. But now let's return to the same show and watch Ray apply this as moderator between his parents during a miscommunication. Let's listen.
This is our tax refund check. It was stuck to the bottom of the ice cream. You've been on my back for a month telling me that I lost it.
Just listen here for a second. Wait. So, Dad, you think Mom's being unfair?
That's right. It's always my fault when she can't find something.
Because I work like a dog to keep this place straight, and he messes it up with all his projects.
Ice cream's a project?
So what, you think Dad's being inconsiderate?
Have you met your father?
Well, what about your consideration? Do I ever get any thanks for all the stuff I do around here?
Like what? What is it you do?
Well, didn't I fix the thing?
That's true, Ma, he did. So Dad's feeling unappreciated.
That's right.
Oh, come on. I don't appreciate you.
How do I know?
Evidently, Dad isn't hearing thank you.
Oh, he wants thank you. This isn't thank you?
I guess Mom's saying actions speak louder than words.
That's very good, Ren.
But sometimes we need to hear the words.
Yeah, I need words.
And I don't need words?
I'm sorry the check got stuck to the chubby hubby.
You never said that before.
No one's ever said that before.
I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Holy crap, it works.
Okay, so in that example, Ray's acting as the moderator as he applies elements of active listening with his parents. He reflects back what he's hearing beyond just the words they said. They then feel heard and understood, right? Which led to emotional healing and some resolution. But beyond just your personal relationships, where else would active listening show up? Well, your ability to demonstrate this skill would obviously be very impressive during an interview, and would certainly factor in heavily when you're under consideration to advance into a management or upper management position in the workplace. But in business, active listening is important for at least two huge reasons. First, people want to know you understand their problem before you try to sell them a solution. They want to know you've taken time to listen to their needs if it's a one-on-one engagement, or the needs of an audience if you're talking through your marketing. Even if you just practice this at a novice level, guys, demonstrating this skill allows you to establish trust and credibility through your marketing and through your communications and engagements. So you stand out from all that noise of persuasive marketing techniques that don't include elements of coach communication and authentic leadership. Second, and no less important to your business's bottom line, this skill allows you to communicate far more effectively with business partners, like for agreements, or the people you hire, like a web designer, for example. This increased effectiveness in communication allows you to save immeasurable amounts of money and time that's so often lost in miscommunication when implementing a project. We're talking about the difference between hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars or more when measured out over even just a few years. And in many cases, we're talking about the difference between fulfilling your vision and not fulfilling it due to endless toiling that can come from miscommunication. If you invest some time developing these skills, it's gonna show. It's gonna show up in your marketing emails, your blog articles, any books you author or videos you create. You're gonna connect to people in a different way. It's gonna show up in every single one-on-one interaction you have from here.
Now let's move into the next core competency we'll review today, powerful questions. This can be part of active listening, but is worthy of standing on its own because of its importance in leadership and discovering others' needs and guiding people to solutions that uniquely address those needs. So powerful questions as a competency is also very important for effective and magnetic communication. Let's now listen to Barbara Silva as she addresses powerful questions.
When you are actively listening to somebody, like I said, listening to the whole person and listening beyond just what they say, the right questions of how to help them get at what it is they're trying to get at come to you. A regular question may be helpful if you say, what kind of business do you want to have? That's a good question. But a powerful question would be, you're talking about having this kind of a business. How does that reflect the values that you have just described to me that you said are the most important things in your life? So if your values are your family and having time with your family, and the business that you're proposing is going to take you away from the family and you're not going to have any choice about it, how does that support your primary value? Therefore, it's a powerful question. And knowing how to ask those will help your client find their path quicker. They might be able to do it on their own, but they won't do it as fast. They won't do it in a way that is as easy and natural for them as it is once you help them find the answers by asking them these questions. Part of coaching is that you're not just going to sit around and talk about what you want. The key is that you get into action and you actually do it. But what's nice about it for the people on this call who may not be planning to be coaches themselves is that you learn these skills and you can apply it to yourself. you can ask those questions of yourself. You will have tools and ways to help yourself through it, and to know what you need, and to know how you can come back from having had some of the kinds of disappointments and things that life, is going to throw at us. Effective feedback is, like I touched on before, people think that they're coming off a certain way. They think that they're sending a certain message, and it may or may not be the message that the other person is receiving. You have to know how to give that feedback to the other person so that you're clear, both of you, on what is being said and what's being understood, and that is free of judgment. You want to be able to tell somebody something that may be difficult for them to hear, but in a way that they can receive it. How do you share with them what you're hearing in the conversation and mirror for them what you see without offending them and them just shutting you out? So how do you tell somebody something that they need to hear and really make them thank you for having told them?
What we're talking about here, between the skill of active listening and asking powerful questions, which is a part of that, and then giving effective feedback, as Barbara was just talking about. I want you to look at the slide that I have in front of you right now. You have on the left side the sender, and you have the other side the receiver. Now the sender could be an interviewer, like you're going in for an interview, and the receiver is you. You could be, one of these is the marketer, and the other is the audience they're selling to. One's the real estate agent, the other maybe is the client looking to buy the house. What we're talking about here are communication skills. We've also heard them referred to as people skills, cool, calm collectedness, confidence. These are those missing, esoteric, fuzzy things you can't really get your arms around. The coaching skill and practicing them makes them grounded and real. We're talking about some major shifts can happen when you go sit down to an interview, or you put together a Facebook post, or start putting together your products, or write your book, or call a publisher that you want to market your book, or dealing with your spouse or your child. All of this shows up and you notice it. Things change very quickly because you are connecting with people constantly everywhere you go, no matter what your goals are.
Creating a safe environment for somebody, it's trust and it's intimacy, and it's a two-way street. It's not only getting another person to trust you, and when I say getting, I don't mean manipulating them or, tricking them or doing something that makes them trust you. You are earning their trust because you are proving to them in your communication and in your actions that you are trustworthy. And part of that is Mike's message of giving value. And when it's coming from the real you and your real desires to help other people, they see that. Up to 90% of all communication is nonverbal. So it's not just the words that you use. It's all kinds of other ways. We go into that in our classes on, how do you read that? How do you know? Creating that environment where that person knows that they can talk about anything and they're not going to be judged, and you're not going to try to force an opinion on them. You are actually going to guide them to looking at their options and making a decision that is best for them. When I first started, I did some affiliate marketing, and people would contact me knowing that if they bought a particular product, that I was going to make money. I made sure that people knew it. And they would write me and they would say, here's my budget. Here's how much this product costs. Do you think it would benefit me to get it? And of course, what they got was questions. Where are you right now? What are you trying to accomplish? How will this move you forward toward what you want? They were the ones that made the decision, and I asked them the questions that helped them. That came from trust.
It's been said in many different ways by many great teachers. Wayne Dyer puts it this way: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. But how do you change the way you look at things to create the outcomes in your life that you really want? And how do you help others reframe their perspective so they can see all the resources within their grasp to create what they want and not just see what they're lacking? Let's listen to a segment from a previous class where I opened the discussion with Barbara Silva about the importance of reframing perspective. Without your ability to be aware of and to shift your perspective and how you see things so that you can move forward, so you can start problem solving, so you can ask powerful questions instead of disempowering questions. Without this skill, you're stuck, no matter where you are and where you want to be. With this skill, you're in action.
What I like about this particular skill is that this is one of the few things that you are completely and utterly in control of. Even when something has happened that feels completely out of control. The perspective and the reframing, it's a choice. Whatever seems to have been taken away from you, you can choose how it's going to empower you. And the minute you know how to do that, man, everything from the guy cutting you off at the corner light to the death of a loved one, it all becomes something that you can handle in a really positive way.
In that same class, Barbara went on to give a very personal example of the power of this skill known as reframing perspective. She shared how devastated she was after learning her marriage of over 20 years was in jeopardy as her husband was having an affair. Let's hear how she quickly shifted how she looked at her situation by changing her internal dialogue to focus on to what she did have control over rather than what she didn't have control over. Let's listen.
I couldn't control what he was going to do. So my decision had to be around, what can I do for me? And what I needed to do for me was to be okay with me. And that's what Robyn means when she's saying a self-love and being okay when things don't go exactly the way you want to. And so what I did was I started looking into a business. And in the process, as a bonus step, I found myself in a big way. I just blossomed. I found myself doing things that I never dreamed I could have the confidence to do. And as a bonus prize, my husband fell in love with me almost as if I was a new person. In a lot of ways I was. Yes, my marriage did survive. Like I said, this is now years later and we're stronger and happier than we've ever been. But the point is that I am stronger and I am more fulfilled and I know that I'm okay. You can't change the facts, but you can change how you interpret the facts. So this is in your hands. Very powerful skill.
It really is.
Goal setting is about clarity. When you have absolute clarity about what's most important to you, you can ensure that each goal and the daily steps that lead up to your goals inspire you.
We set a lot of goals for ourselves because we think it's what we ought to do, or that's what somebody else did, and we don't stop to think there may be other ways that suit us better. Make sure that the goal is something that you really want.
Now, this is essential so you're energized by the tasks and the routine of your day and excited to have your feet touch the floor when you get out of bed in the morning. So right now, I'd like you to ask yourself this powerful question. What's most important to you? In other words, what do you value? Is it to love what you do? Is it to merge your work with your family? Is it to make a difference? Are your goals aligned with these values? If you're not really clear on any of this, now you know what to work on next, to have the confidence to get into inspired action. If you are clear on your values and your goals are aligned, the next step and core competency to focus on is action planning.
Whatever the goal is, how do you break it down into something that's manageable and achievable? You don't set yourself up for failure, and it's in alignment with who you are. Once you have that goal and it's clear and you know what it is, and you've broken down the steps, now you want to take action. We can talk all day long about goals and create great ones, but it's not until you actually do something about it. What can I do to get this into motion so that I can actually look and see, I started out here and now I'm this much closer to my goal? And you ought to be able to see that every day, that you are moving closer to the goal. And it'll help you define those actions that really are not moving you closer to the goal.
So sometimes what's happening is you're procrastinating because either your goal or your action plan, the way you're going about it, is not congruent with you. It's not congruent with your personality, not congruent with your strengths. If you don't ever sit down and take the time to develop this awareness and the productive planning process right for you to succeed defined by you, then you won't. You don't have the tools to do it. And people are often looking for quick fixes or this training or that book to solve their problem, but they never work on these fundamental skills, so they're never able to get unstuck. This is huge no matter what you're trying to do or where you're trying to go. In summary, action planning is chunking up your big goals into small, manageable steps while making sure you're leveraging your strengths and you're aligned with your values, allowing you the opportunity to enjoy your daily routine, right? While moving forward on the goals that are most important to you. Now, of course, there's much more we can discuss about goal setting, action planning, and each of the competencies we've talked about today. But if you commit to continue holding your attention on what we've highlighted here, you're going to start leading yourself and others with confidence. Now, quite literally, these are the skills that dreams are made of. Now, the 7 core competencies we covered today are among 11 taught throughout our certification training program at Academy of Coaching Cognition. The 4 competencies we didn't discuss today are accountability, ethics, presence, and contracts and agreements. In our certification course, we spend personal time with you developing out each of the skills in the 11 competencies. So if this were a certification class today, you'd be able to interact and get feedback from your instructor and your peers. So you could literally practice and improve your skills in a safe environment. That's where you can really accelerate the development of your confidence and leadership in each of the areas we talked about, and where this all starts to become second nature.
Let's recap today's class. We introduced you to 7 of the 11 core competencies covered in our school's curriculum, which is approved to count toward an ICF coach credential.
You learned what makes coaching unique over other support services and how coach skills serve you in becoming far more valuable in every interaction you have and more effective in accomplishing any goal you aim for from here.
You learn how these skills help you heal yourself by connecting you to your internal dialogue and heal our world by fostering understanding through communication and connection.
You learned how coach skills allow you to develop an attractive presence by demonstrating you understand the needs of those you communicate with before giving advice or selling a solution.
In total, you learned that the competencies here connect you to the strong, confident, and magnetic leader that's already inside of you.
This concludes today's class covering the 7 competencies.
Stay after class to learn more about how we can continue to support you in developing the confidence to follow through and the communication skills of a magnetic leader.
Or to learn more about getting a coach credential, to start a new exciting career, or to add the coach credential to your professional portfolio. For those of you interested in turning your ideas that you have for a business or nonprofit into reality, or to improve an online brand you already have,
we have the resources for you.
So stick around.
We'll be right back
for a value-packed after-class session
in just a moment.
Welcome to our after-class session where we assist you personally in any or all of the following. 1.
We can help you get clear on a business or nonprofit idea that you might be still mulling over, even if you're still trying to figure out what a business for you would look like. And even if you need help going beneath the layers to get in touch with your passion or your purpose. 2.
If you're here to improve communication and leadership skills, to gain more confidence, or to build and lead teams, or to be able to market yourself more effectively as a strong communicator, or if you're here to simply add the coach credential to your professional portfolio, we can work with you personally to create an action plan and help you determine which course options and ICF credential is best for you. 3.
If you already have a credential from ICF or the Center for Continuing Education and just need some help understanding how to maintain your coach credential, or if you've taken some ICF approved courses before, we can help you get caught up on ICF's new requirements and create a plan that's right for you. 4.
If you need help attracting more clients or learning how to charge more for your services, we have a client attraction platform online that can help you jumpstart your coach career or any career as a service provider, or build up a client base if you already have one started. We can also provide you with ongoing support to turn your coaching skills into online products or trainings that allow for leveraged income, so you're not always trading time for money.
5.
If you have an offline or brick and mortar business related to coaching, consulting, public speaking, or maybe you're a book author, or you have a business of any kind that you're passionate about that makes a positive impact out there, we want to help you create an online presence to expand your reach and attract more clients and customers so you can meet your lifestyle goals and any financial goals you have from here. Now, this can include repackaging your value into new forms of products that are more conducive for leveraged income so you can serve more people in less time. And last but certainly not least,
if you already have an online presence with your own website or blog and you need some help optimizing the marketing structure to make more money while making your difference, we can help you ramp up your visitors, tighten up your marketing funnel so the structure's optimized to monetize, and help you create a more fascinating framing for your message and brand to attract your ideal audience and reach your goals more effectively. Somewhere on this page, you'll see a button that says Get Movin'. When you click that button, you'll see 2 options. Choose either coach credentialing or business planning.
we do charge a small fee of $39, which is obviously very inexpensive for a private and personal session like this. It's particularly unusual when you consider I've personally built 4 separate multi-million-dollar revenuing businesses in my career and have trained tens of thousands of people in creating successful businesses of their own. It's uncommon to be able to have a session like this privately for less than several $100s or more. The only reason we're able to provide this much value is because of a unique business model we've innovated for the connection economy. We'll talk more about that later if you're interested. It's pretty exciting, as we'll unveil all the hidden opportunities for those of you who have a
passion to make a difference. As an author, a speaker, or for a business of any type that embodies compassion.
For now, we'd like to personally demonstrate the power of these skills with you in a 45-minute, laser-focused private session. So go ahead and click the Get Moving button. Choose whichever option best describes what you're most interested in.
Is it to learn more about coach credentialing or to get the assistance in business planning?
If you're interested in both, just choose business planning. After you make your selection, press the Continue button and we'll see you on the next page where we'll share more about this laser-focused session and what we'll do. Through demonstration of the coaching process in the private session, along with consulting and mentoring when it's appropriate, we'll help you clarify your goals. We'll help you create an action plan that inspires you to get into action, make your difference,
and live your life with passion. We'll see you on the next page.